Hebrews, Hebrews, Hebrews. This is Prophets of Awakening. This is our Israelite Advanced Bible Study night, the 30th of April, 2024. We'll be dealing with the mystery of Psalms 83, end times. We're going to go over there and check it out and break it down. Okay, you can go to our YouTube channel, The Prophets of Awakening. Check out our videos. We have over 900 or so videos. A lot of information is given, and the videos will connect dots for you and lead you into the truth of the Holy Scripture. If you like what you're hearing and receiving, I'm asking you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. And if you want to support the channel, we have a cash app at the bottom of the screen. It would be greatly appreciated. Okay. For those that don't know, this is a non-Messianic channel. We deal with the Tanakh and the Torah. Tanakh being the Old Testament, so-called Book of Remembrance. And the Torah is the first 5 books of the Old Testament that was given to Moses by the Lord of hosts. Consists of our laws, our statutes, our judgments, our way of life as Israelites. And shalom and welcome to the channel, and welcome to our Israelite Advanced Bible Study. We're going to do our normal, which is a moment of silence, a prayer. We read the Psalms while we have some current events, and then we have a little need to know information, and then we'll go into our Q&A, questions and comments, dialogue. Then we'll deal with the topic, which is the mystery of Psalms 83 and end time. Okay, this moment of silence is for the Lord of hosts and all that he's doing in these last days to bring about our prophesied deliverance. As people. O Lord, righteousness and uprightness belongeth unto thee. Therefore we come before thee at this hour, seeking thy face, looking for righteousness and uprightness, that we may walk before thee, as thy servants David and Solomon, Samuel and Hezekiah did, that we may walk before thee in truth and in righteousness and in rightness of heart. Give unto us, O Lord, an understanding heart, that we may discern between good and bad. For we know that you possess the power to do just that. For we desire to walk after thee, O Lord, keep your commandments and your testimony and your statutes with all our heart and soul, and to perform the words of the covenant that was written down by your prophets. O Lord, allow thy face to shine upon thy people. Hear our plea, hear and do, O Lord, and hide not thy face from us any longer, for we need you so very much at this hour. Peace be unto you. Okay, we read the Psalms. Okay. Okay. See, read Psalm 110. It says, the Lord give dominion to the king. It's a Psalm of David. The Lord said unto my Lord, sit thou at my right hand until I make thy enemies thy footstool. The Lord shall send the rod of thy strength out of Zion. Rule thou in the midst of thine enemies. Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, in the beauty of holiness from the womb of the morning. Thou hast had the dew of youth. The Lord hath sworn and will not repent. Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek. The Lord at thy right hand shall strike through kings in the day of his wrath. He shall judge among the heathen. He shall fill the places with the dead bodies. He shall wound the head over many countries. He shall drink of the brook in the way. Therefore shall he lift up his head. So that's the Psalms 110. The Lord gives dominion to his king. Anybody have any comments on that? Questions? Okay. So with that being said, we're going to our current events. Okay.
There
Okay.
Now more than ever, there are a lot of questions about the stability and the future of the US dollar. Will the US dollar crash? How many countries are abandoning the US dollar in favor of the BRICS currency? You have Russia, China, you have South Africa, you have all of these countries saying enough with the US dollar. So we're going to unpack this today on today's show. Let's get into some of the nitty-gritty details here about the dollar, which has held its power in global trade for decades, of course, since World War II. It's been the principal reserve currency of the world. So what exactly does that mean? Well, a reserve currency is held and used by institutions and central banks around the world for international transactions. Major commodities like gold, lumber, oil, all priced in dollars. We'll settle our oil transactions in petrodollars, right? We're going to use US dollars to settle those transactions. Global trade runs on the US dollar. It has long been an important cornerstone in the global economy due to its ease of conversion and its value. And of course, the United States would back the US dollar with the power of the US military. That was the agreement made during the Bretton Woods Conference, right? We will police the waterways with our US Navy to secure the trade routes, but you will use US dollars. But over the past several decades, the inherent value of the dollar has been in massive decline. In 1971, the US dollar's departure from the gold standard led to a major devaluation of our currency. And this was just the first time the dollar has declined.
These periods of falling and regaining value are known as super cycles. Each dip is essentially correcting an overvalued dollar. Many economists today think that America's currency is due for another correction, just like previous super cycles.
And more countries are starting to seek autonomy and diversification away from the US dollar. Look at all throughout Africa right now. Not to mention, in recent history, China has become an economic powerhouse. Sanctions enforced after the invasion of Ukraine have encouraged more and more countries to turn towards other currencies. Seeing what the United States has done to sanction Russia, Putin announced an intent to create an international currency standard. And even France has been leaning less and less on the US dollar. These are just a few examples, many more to speak of, all throughout Latin America and Africa and the rest of the Middle East. So when asked about these global issues and their impact on the dollar as a world currency, here's what Janet Yellen, U.S. Treasury Secretary, had to say about it. She said, quote, "We should expect over time a gradually increased share of other assets in reserve holdings of countries." And the Federal Reserve itself lists some challenges the dollar is facing. Let's read right from the source, right from the Fed website. Sanctions imposed by the United States and its allies on Russia following the invasion of Ukraine. They make the dollar less attractive as a reserve currency. Yes, that's right. The euro could become more attractive as a reserve currency in the future. And they also point out another source of challenges to the US dollar's dominance could be the continued rapid growth of China, which is by far the world's largest exporter, though it lags behind the United States. By value of imports, Chinese GDP already exceeds US GDP on purchasing power parity basis and may exceed US GDP in nominal terms in the 2030s. In other words, the United States dollar is on the decline. Despite these glaring issues, American politicians like to affirm that the dollar's position as a global currency is strong. But clearly, there's been a slow burn happening behind the scenes for decades. Bit by bit, other countries are trying to establish independence and chip away at the dollar's role as the most prevalent reserve currency. Now, some may argue that the biggest threat to the future of the US dollar is the US government itself. I mean, national debt continues to climb at astronomical rates. I'm one of those people that believes that's the case, right? When you have unbelievable national debt on top of 9 wars that you're carrying out throughout the world, and you're funneling billions more to Ukraine and Israel, that is not sustainable. We are our own worst enemies, right? So you mix high debt, high inflation, it could very quickly result in a crisis for the US dollar. Now, regardless of what ultimately happens with the dollar, now is the time to think about how to protect yourself. I mean, we're in an environment right now with high inflation, tons of economic volatility. Americans are losing their jobs left and right, while debt on both a personal and national level is out of control. But luckily, I have tons of free resources right here for you on this channel on how to protect yourself, how to build multiple streams of income, how to preserve your wealth, And I have a freedom cheat sheet. It's totally free. I think it could change your life if you just look at it. It's like 3 pages. It's a PDF. It's easy to download. Again, it's totally free. Just go to our website, morrisinvest.com/freedom, and go through, and you'll really start.
Okay, so yeah, so the video is changing to how fast the dollar is, then accelerating in its fall. We're moving a whole lot faster than picked up on its decline. Okay, any comments on that? Okay.
Have you heard of turtle traders? They were a group of
BRICS group was formed. They have been trying to have a constructive dialogue with the West. The goal of this association has always been to reform international institutions to give more space and rights to the global South. However, the arrogance and egoism of Western countries have prevented any significant changes to the global order. Now faced with this resistance, BRICS is creating its own alternatives. It's challenging Western dominance across 10 transformative sectors that go far beyond just economics and politics. In this eye-opening video, we will take you on a fast tour showing you the amazing things BRICS is doing in fields like finance, technology, energy, and space exploration, even though the West is against it. Get ready for a big change that will redefine how the world works.
But I will tell you that BRICS, if you're not focused on BRICS right now, you're not focused on the right thing. Before the Ukraine conflict, BRICS was just sort of this 5-nation forum that wasn't getting any traction anywhere. The G7 was always going to outflank BRICS. The G20 was always going to overwhelm BRICS. Because of this war, because of America and European overreach, BRICS has become relevant and it's expanding. I'm going to be going to Kazan in October to the BRICS summit, and it's going to be.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous.
Blow the socks, because this is where the change is taking place, right there. And this multilateralism. We always talked about a multipolar world theoretically. It's happening right now. But in America, I would imagine, I'm not picking on your audience, but many audiences would say, okay, I think I got the idea of BRICS. I've heard this before. Kazan, where's that? But it's an Islamic city. It's become a center of East and West mingling. It's a very big deal. And this BRICS summit is a huge deal. The war may be over by then, but then the real geopolitical struggle is beginning. And the first major battlefield of that will be in Kazan, where BRICS is charting this brave new world of multipolarity versus the American-controlled singularity that the G7 represents. That's going to be the struggle of the future, G7 versus BRICS. And it's going to be fascinating. I'm really excited about it.
The global landscape is changing fast. The rise of the BRICS is challenging the long-standing dominance of Western countries across various sectors. This transformation is not just an economic phenomenon. It reflects a broader reaction to the weaponization of everything by Western powers. Globalization's enablers such as finance, technology, energy, law, education, science, trade, and travel have been transformed into tools of warfare and division rather than forces of integration. Take banking sanctions, for instance. The West has weaponized finance in this way, aiming to contain China's influence over Russia and Iran. This weaponization has created an asymmetry of power, where even non-state actors can leverage these tools to threaten global markets and undermine the traditional pillars of power. It's also made it clear that we are all vulnerable because global systems and institutions aren't working well enough to deal with these new threats. The rise of the BRICS nations is challenging the Western-led global order. These countries are asserting their economic, technological, and geopolitical influence across various sectors, offering an alternative vision for global integration. Understanding the BRICS impact is crucial because it sheds light on shifting power dynamics, highlights limitations of the current global order, presents new investment opportunities, and fosters cultural exchange. Looking at how the BRICS challenge affects different sectors, not only the economy, but also space, security, technology, and more, can help investors, policymakers, and global citizens make better decisions. As we said before, we will be covering a lot of topics in this video, but we will be talking about them in a general way, mainly because we don't have much time. We also want to know which topics you are most interested in, so we can focus on them in future video reports. So let us know what you think by promote a green economy while keeping a balanced and pragmatic approach to the topic. As we talked about it in a previous video, these nations want to avoid getting too obsessed with the green agenda by rather adopt a more measured and healthy perspective. Russia is leading the way in trying to create an alternative to the European Union's carbon border adjustment mechanism by developing standardized methods for emissions calculations and criteria for validating climate projects. The idea is to protect the BRICS economies from the potential drawbacks of the European Union's carbon regulation while promoting a coordinated approach to environmental issues and fostering a low-carbon economy. The tourism and sports sectors are also significant areas of focus for the BRICS nations. Regarding sports, we have previously discussed the boycott that the USA and the West have systematically imposed on the BRICS Games and the World Games of Friendship. For brevity, we suggest watching that informative and entertaining video. Turning to tourism, an industry that the BRICS countries have been collaborating on for years to facilitate the movement of citizens between member nations.
Okay, any comments on that? Okay, got some meeting moment right here. Got some meeting moment.
Did you know that you can get paid $8?
Okay.
It's happened again. The FBI has issued another warning that the American people are now a threat. And this is because of who is coming into our country without being properly vetted and checked. I want to break down what's going on, why the issues here in the United States, including the protests at many fine establishments, very good universities, why these continue to happen, and what experts believe is on the horizon. So make sure you stick around and watch this entire video. I'll explain exactly what is going on. But all I ask is one thing. It takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. So we have a massive crisis on our hands here in the United States. But it starts with what the FBI Director, Christopher Wray, has just said. He says he's been sounding the alarm on heightened threat environment. Says FBI Director Christopher Wray has warned lawmakers that the threat of terrorism has risen to a whole other level since October 7th. Now, the problem with what we are currently facing is that nobody has an answer. It's not like we are seeing the attacks happening between Israel and Hamas. These are not stopping. The United States even went further and provided additional funding to Israel to the tune of about $26 billion. That's going to go to Israel. And many people all across the United States are upset and they are protesting in college towns. Just look at this, okay? I want to show you this. This is at Columbia, okay? Or actually, this is at UT Austin. Look at this right here. I'll play this for you.
Arresting at least 23 other protesters, additional protesters yesterday, after they ignored orders to disperse. According to the school, many of those arrested believed not to be affiliated with the university. This is happening increasingly at universities. We're finding many of the people being arrested are actually not students at all.
So it's interesting what she just said. She said the majority of people that are being arrested are not actually students at all. But you know what colleges are now saying? That if you are caught protesting on their campus, you will be suspended. And then I saw just earlier today that now colleges are going a step further, and they're not suspending students, they're expelling students. You are done. You will never go to school at their university again. Guess what? People are not running because they're not scared. People are not hiding because they're not students. Many of the people that we are seeing protesting are just regular people protesting at those colleges. Well, here's the reason why that is concerning. It's because of what the FBI has been warning for several months, that we are now seeing people are coming into the United States without being vetted. They aren't being checked. We have no clue where they're going. They're just coming in, and then they're protesting. They're riling us up and trying to get us on their side. Because again, they're saying that, no, we need to be pro-Palestinian, anti-Israeli. That is what they're telling us. Now, I'm not telling you which way to go, which side to be on, and which way to think. That's up to you. But here's what I'm telling you. We are going to see, when again, whether it's right or wrong, we are going to see a potential attack. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be anything like 9/11. The FBI and Homeland Security have stated that the next attack could be bigger than 9/11. But what I'm telling you is there will be an attack. It may not be large, it may be very small, but it will still have a significance. Here's the reason why. Now what we're seeing from some of these riots and some of these protesters are they're going after specific groups of people. Palestinians, Israelis. That's what we're seeing. The Jewish community has been pretty much on alert for months that they could be targeted. That's a problem because it's just starting at some of these communities, some of these Jewish communities. But what about when it spreads? And now it's somebody else that's injured, somebody else that looks like they are being targeted because of the color of their skin, where they came from, their country of origin, the language that they speak, or just their look. That is it. It could be somebody from the Middle East. It could be somebody from Central and South America. It could be somebody just because they have darker skin, lighter skin. That's what we're seeing, and that's where many people say they are extremely concerned. But I want to show you a few other things. This came out just today, where we are now seeing California is completely changing. One of the worries that many people have all across the United States is what is California doing? Because what California does, many states seem to follow. I know Oregon and Washington are two states that almost do the exact same thing. But look at this. California finally reversed its population loss streak. Says a rebound in legal immigration and other factors fueled the state's first population increase since 2019. What is going on right now is that California, they lost thousands and thousands of people during the pandemic because nobody wanted to be in California. They were locked down, there were mask mandates, some people couldn't work. You had to stay home and be isolated for 5, potentially 7 days. It was just a mess. People left the state. Now, some people are coming back, but the people that are coming back are not the billionaires. These are the lower income earners. These are people that are struggling elsewhere, coming back to California because California does offer free health care to low income migrants. It does offer a higher minimum wage than other states, even nearby states. But here's what I think is interesting. We are seeing a massive shift. And U.S. migrants, they're shifting. Instead of going to Texas, they're now going to California. That's what we're facing. People are not going to Arizona, they're going to California because California has better weather. They have a higher minimum wage, so even though they may not be able to work, they can still go to California, work illegally, and still make more money than they could in, let's say, Utah. or over in Texas. But here's something that was announced just the other day. And the reason I bring this up is because we are about to see people get stuck here inside the United States. Look at this. This is an article from Reuters. It says U.S. Mexico to clamp down on illegal immigration, leaders say. I want to read you a little bit of this. It says, in a phone conversation on Sunday, U.S. President Joe Biden and Mexican President Andres Manuel Lopez Obrador said their administrations would soon take steps to decrease illegal crossings while also addressing the economic and security problems that cause people to migrate. It says, in the short term, the two leaders ordered their national security teams to work together to immediately implement concrete measures to significantly reduce irregular border crossings while protecting human rights. It says Biden, a Democrat seeking another 4-year term in the November 5th election, has toughened his approach to border security in recent months as immigration has emerged as a top concern among voting-age Americans. Here's the thing. Right now, almost all agencies are saying that immigration is going to cause a problem. Because as we see more people come in, and I bring this to your attention because this is exactly why people are protesting. As more people come into the United States, we have less of an ability. Let me show you how we do stuff.
Okay. Anybody have any comments on that?
Shalom. Not so much of what was just said, but earlier with the protesters and
Okay.
with the protesters doing what they're doing and they're saying they're not students. It's just like whenever they have protesting, people will come from another state or, way far, 5 miles away, 5 states away, just to rally up, bring uh, rocks and everything just to start up a fight. So that's what it sounds like what they're doing, being that they're coming and they're not students and they're saying, and maybe those students are not saying it, or half of them are not participating in this riot, but they are those protesters. I don't know what they used to call them, that come in from other states when they have something going on, and they'll vandalize buildings and rob, start that splurging, like tearing up the place, but they don't live there. They just want to get there and do things. So that just brought into my mind when they were saying that they were not students, and that's rallying it up a lot of, security and everything, taking the eye off the picture, what is really going on. So they're drawing everybody to these campuses and things, having them to look at the students, which they're doing something behind the scenes that's way worse than starting a riot, as far as protesting like they're doing, standing still or whatever they want to accomplish. But if something else is going on, and it'll come out in the light after a while, I guess.
Right. Yeah. Me looking at that, it's the immigrants. They just anything that comes up with controversy, they jump in it. And like he was saying, it's causing turmoil all over the place. That's all it is, those immigrants. Okay. Yeah. Anybody else have anything on that? We'll open it up for some questions and comments. Anybody have any questions or comments about anything they heard over Shabbat on Friday night during the clubhouse, or Sunday night? Comments? Okay. Questions? Okay, so we're going to our topic, which is I was listening to this video, and you can see why. You see most people that's, like, especially people here on Prophets of Awakening, if you're at a certain point where you're waking up to a certain point, and you look back at other people, back at where you was at and where other people was at, you know, where they at as far as when it comes to the New Testament. And JC, you can't see how they continue to cling on to that when it's obvious that you know, he's a character he was gonna capture. And everything else is going on in the New Testament. The two books, the Old and the New, is totally different. Two different type of gods. God in the Old Testament is totally different from the one in the New. God in the Old is Israel's God. The one in the New is concocted, right? So, with that being said, when you go back and look at how, like I was saying before, over and over again about uh, Josephus, right? He's an Edomite. You got so many people and this go way back way back in 2000, 2001 when I first first started dealing with me on this stuff, and people, you know, they cling into what Josephus said. And Josephus is one of the main culprits that twisted everything up. They use him. So who is Josephus? He's a you know, he's a literary genius, like I said, just like Bacon. And they use Bacon. They use Bacon to rewrite the King James. That's what King James went and got. Bacon, literary genius. You had Ebers of Caesarea. He was a literary genius at Council of Nicaea, an Edomite. And so they just been hoodwinking our scriptures. Clement, Alexander, the so-called church fathers, Polycarp, all them are Israelites. Those are Edomites. Like the Most High said, the pen of the scribe. And when you understand that Esau came back in 143 BC and posing as the Israelite, those are fake scribes. And they got hotel records and they whooping us with the pen. Like I said, got everything in the Old Testament, everything in the book, Egyptian Book of the Dead, everything that Horus said is written in red. So they duplicated that when they created the New Testament because that's what it's predicated off of. Horus, Isis, and Osiris, the Trinity. Israel ain't got no Trinity. So everything JC said is written in red. But you go to the Tanakh, everything Yahweh said, you know, it ain't written in red. But everything the Son said is written in red. That's a flag right there. But, you know, people don't, so many things that they don't understand that have transpired. You know, it's like I said, they're red flags. So anyway, I don't know if anybody know this guy, but it's Jonathan Kahn. And that's how they, like I said, that's how they've been putting us to sleep. And we sit there and grab a hold of the things that they say and take it for granted that it's good when you've witnessed with your own eyes and history what these people capable of doing. And they don't mean you no good. They're not gonna give you they're gonna give you everything but the right information. They're gonna give you everything but the right God. They don't want you to know your God because the God that came to Egypt and delivered the Israelites ain't the same God that we're dealing with now. They didn't downgrade him and gave us JC, the God that showed up in Babylon. Okay, they didn't downgrade him, denigrated him. So, like I said, go back in history. They got these super sharp guys, literary geniuses, or playwrights, because that's all they are, scribes, you know, that writing things and giving us things. So in these last days, they got this dude, Jonathan Kahn. If you understand that the nation of Israel today is synagogue of Satan, so but they didn't set up a system, which is the beast system that started with Julius Caesar. They got it set up in place, so they just like when the real Israel, when David was alive and Solomon, we had priests and prophets and Levites and all that. Well, they got the same system now, but these false prophets, and they're using them to drive the nail in the coffin on us. When just like this Black Jesus. We already know Jesus ain't real, but now they didn't throw us in the cross. Now they're saying that Jesus was black. Now you got all these brothers flocking to that, but he's a figment of your imagination when they concocted him. No matter if he's black, white, blue, whatever, he ain't not the Redeemer. The Redeemer is in the Old Testament. He all over the Old Testament. The Lord of Hosts. Isaiah 44:6 tell you Yahweh the King and his Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. So we ain't need no Redeemer. We already had one from day one. Out the gate, we had a Redeemer. We didn't need no Redeemer to come do nothing for us. We already had one. We turned our back on it. Matter of fact, that's how we ended up over here. So anyway, everybody should be familiar with Psalms 83, right? So understanding what we've gathered, the information the Most High given us, and so we're gonna let this guy Jonathan come break down Psalms 83. And you're gonna see how so many Negroes is thrown off. Because they're using that same playbook that they used with Josephus, the same one they used with Sir Francis Bacon, John Dee, all them characters. Ebus, they're doing the same thing now with this dude. So every time they do something, like I said, they want to rebuild the temple. They want to pick up the vision of Solomon and what Solomon and Zerubbabel did. They want to build a temple. So they got these, every time they do something, they got these dudes in the background smoothing it out, making everything, connecting dots, but it's not it's false, it's illegal. It's not, it don't go along with scripture. So let's look at it. So he's breaking down Psalms 83 and he tied it to the end time.
Is linked to Philistia, but something else. What's the other dangerous player? And you've heard of it, it's Hezbollah. Hezbollah has been sending missiles since this war began because they said we're allied with Hamas.
So like I said, remember, the whole world turning against these Israelis for what they're doing. It's the genocide that they're performing in Israel. Well, they got him to counter that. Watch this.
And we're going to open up a scripture which has been looked at as telling us what will happen, or before the events of Ezekiel 38 and 39. We're going to do another Friday night. I will be doing Ezekiel 38 and 39, which is definitely for the end times. We'll look at that, but since this is Psalm 83, it's brought up a lot. You may have heard it in prophecy circles, in the realm of end time prophecy. Tonight we're going to open it up. If you have your Bible, open up to Psalm 83. Psalm 83, does it reveal the next prophetic event? Is it coming true? Is it linked to what happened in Israel? There are many who say it does. And I just did a screenshot, but that's some of the things you'll see on the web if you look up Psalm 83 on the web, what's coming, Psalm 83. There are many books that say it does as well. If you look that up, there'll be all sorts of books on.
So let's look at it. You know, I'm gonna have to interject in here all through this little conversation, but notice how he already beyond a shadow of a doubt saying that it ain't no debate that they the Israelites. Damn that all these Israelites are waking up all over the place, all on the street corners, prophesying all this stuff they doing. But when he coming, he ain't even that ain't being dealt with at all. It's already the way he coming is that the people over there right now is the Israelites, and prophecy is based on them. So, and if you already told, then you already you falling back in the dark.
On Psalm 83. Let's open it up and let's see. Psalm 83, a psalm of Asaph. God Do not stay quiet. Do not be silent. And God, don't be still. For behold, your enemies make an uproar, and those who hate you have exalted themselves. They make shrewd plans against your people and conspire together against your hidden ones or your treasured ones. They have said, come, let us wipe them out as a nation, so the name of Israel will no longer be remembered. They've conspired with one mind. They made a covenant against you. The 10 sub.
So first of all all this already done happened. Remember, Daniel told us while he was in captivity in Babylon, they was coming and that they was going to change the prince that shall come. They're going to change our laws, statutes. They did all that. Constantine in what's his name? Antioch Epiphanes attacked the law. Anybody found with the law, book of the law, he was killing them. And he went from that to Constantine when he came up with the Council of Nicaea and they concocted JC and all that. So this Psalm 33 already done happened, but he's playing it, putting it toward today. But Psalm 33 happened. That's the reason why we in the predicament we in. Nobody know that we the Israelites, because this already happened. And they denigrated us. They took away the name of Israel, weeded us out this picture. It already happened way back in 143 BC. But he tying it to the day. Okay.
Edom, the Ishmaelites.
Somebody had something?
Yes, sir. The way he looks, because he doesn't look he looks like he's from that era over there from the east. So his hair is curly, it's black, he's got a peaches color. So by him continue to say we, that's drawing all the people to look at him, his features, and so they would join and say yes, that's right, because and then they'll look at themselves as pale or whatever, they'll still go with him because he's saying we, and continue to say we when he started out and draw them to him. Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. And like I said before, he looked just like Josephus. He looked just like Pharaoh Alexander. They're not Israelites. That's what you got to let register in your head. And then go back to the character they created with John the Baptist. He's supposed to have this rough look, and he's eating locusts and grasshoppers. Well, look at him. That's what they betrayed. Like a prophet. He's looking rough.
Yes, sir.
Like the song?
Yes, sir.
Check it out.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Moab, the Hagrites, Gebal, Ammon, Amalek, Philistia, with the inhabitants of Tyre. Assyria has also joined them. They have become a help to the children of Lot. Deal with them as with Midian, as with Sisera and Jabin at the river of Kishon, who were destroyed at Endor, who became like dung for the ground. Make their nobles like Oreb and Zeb, and all their leaders like Zebah and Zalmunna, who said, let's possess for ourselves the pastures of God. My God, make them as whirling dust, like chaff before the wind, like fires that burn in the forest, and like a flame that sets mountains on fire. So pursue them with your heavy winds, terrify them with your storm, fill their faces with dishonor, that they will seek your name, O Lord. May they be ashamed and dismayed forever. May they be humiliated and perish, so that they will know that you alone, whose name is the Lord, are the most high over all the earth.
The Second American Civil War.
Okay.
Okay. What is this about? It's about the enemies of Israel coming against Israel to destroy it. Let's zero in on a few things. Let's do it verse by verse. A psalm of Asaph. Lord, don't be quiet, don't be still. For behold, your enemies make an uproar. Those who hate you exalted themselves. First it says, your enemies. Yet these are about the enemies of Israel, but that's the point. Same thing. Those who are enemies of Israel in the Bible are enemies of God. You can't have it both ways. As Israel is the nation God called into existence.
So right here, just like with JC, when you start breaking down who JC is, to the average Negro, he gets scared. You think you're a nut bucket. Same right here. When he start talking about going against Israel, they've already brainwashed you to make you think those people over there are the Israelites. So right here, you're gonna lose the whole 90-some% of Negroes because they get scared. They ain't gonna deal with the facts and deal with what's actually going on. They're gonna bag up.
For his purposes, if somebody's against Israel, that doesn't mean they agree with everything. That's a whole other story. But against Israel or against the children of Israel, the Jewish people, they are against God.
See that?
Even if they're against Israel in the name of God, like as in a Muslim, or what has been some of mainline Christianity for centuries, anti-Jewish hatred or action in the name, even in the name of Messiah, which is crazy, is against God and against the Messiah of Israel. Remember, his disciples said when he was leaving, he said, at this time you're going to restore the kingdom to Israel. He's the Messiah of Israel. He will fight for Israel. Next verse. They make shrewd plans against your people. They conspire together against your treasured ones. They make shrewd plans. There have been shrewd plans made against the Jewish people for thousands of years since this was written. From the courts of Pharaoh, where it was said, let us deal shrewdly with these people, shrewdly. From the courts of Pharaoh to the Nazi conference at Wannsee, Germany.
See that? Two different races of people. When you're talking about the courts of Pharaoh, you're talking about Joseph and our forefathers. But when you talk about Hitler, that's Edomites. This is where the drama coming in at. There's so many Israelites, you know, saying they're awakened when actually they half-assed awake. So this is where we get played at right here.
Germany, where they made plans, secret plans to implement the Holocaust. To the plans that were made by Hamas just a little while ago. They made shrewd plans. I want to show you something hidden. In the original language, you would not necessarily see it in the English. The word in Psalm 83 about the enemies of Israel and the Jewish people making shrewd plans against the Jewish people, against Israel, is the word in Hebrew, aram. Do you know where it first appears? It first appears in a form called arum, the first time in Genesis 3, verse 1, in this sentence. And the serpent was more subtle or shrewd than any other creature. This is the first reference, allusion to Satan. And the first adjective for the enemy is this adjective, shrewd, which is used of the enemies of Israel. What does that tell you? What's the connection? The connection is these enemies of Israel are connected to the serpent. Behind anti-Semitism is Satanism. The Holocaust, satanic. Hitler, Satan.
So he said in the last days, we're going to call evil good and good evil. This is what's happening right here. The very people that tricked off Psalms 83 and blinded us is them. But they posing out and flipped it upside down. Like they the Israelites, and we, you know, you see that?
Yes, sir.
October 7th, Satan.
Okay.
Next verse. They've said, come, let's wipe them out.
They already did
as
that.
a nation, so that the name of Israel
143
will
BC.
no longer be remembered. It's amazing how many times this has been said of Israel,
Here we go.
or the children of Israel, since it was written. Come, let us wipe them out, that the name of Israel will be forgotten. Many have tried from Pharaoh on. The Assyrian Empire tried to wipe them out. Babylon tried to wipe them out. Rome came in and tried to wipe them out. The Spanish Inquisition tried to wipe them out in Spain. The Cossacks tried to wipe them out. The Tsar of Russia tried to wipe them out.
The
Of course,
Edomites.
Hitler, above all, tried to wipe them out. Yasser Arafat wanted them out. Osama bin Laden wanted to wipe them out. Saddam Hussein wanted to wipe them out. Hamas and Hezbollah want to wipe them out.
So let's look at something right here, because this go way back when you understand what's really going on. So when you look at the fact that 70 AD, when the people that got ran out of the land of Israel in 70 AD, them was Edomites. You know, I tell brothers that over and over again, and they go looking all crazy. But when we go back and look at the scriptures, we look at First Maccabees. Antiochus came in 143 BC and ran the Israelites out, and they fled at the end of the third beast. Let me read it right quick. People might ain't never heard this before. So you go to Daniel, right? Daniel in captivity in Babylon, and let's look at it. So Daniel says right here in chapter 7 of Daniel, he says, chapter 8, just the ram and the he-goat, because he had the vision. So I'm gonna pick it up in verse 18, Daniel 8 and 18. Now, as he was speaking with me, I was in a deep sleep on my face toward the ground. But he touched me and set me upright. And he said, this Gabriel, talking to Daniel, and he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be the last end of indignation. Last end of indignation, for the time appointed, the end shall be. It's the end of Israel. Gotta understand that. Not the end of the world. We still here. We still dealing with prophecy. So it's not the end of the world, just the end of the nation of Israel. He through with the nation of Israel, dealing with them. They keep turning their back on him. So Gabriel come and tell him the last end of indignation, for the time appointed, the end shall be. The nation of Israel gonna be cut off. 20. The ram which thou sawest having 2 horns are the kings of the Medes and Persians, and the rough goat is the king of Grecia, and the great horn that is between his eyes is the first king, Alexander the Great. Now, that being broken, Alexander got killed. They poisoned him. Bartholomew killed him. Now that being broken, where 4 stood up for it, 4 kingdoms shall stand up out of that nation, but not in his own power. So the nation, the Greek nation, after Alexander died, was divided up. It's still a Greek nation, but now it's 4 smaller kingdoms because of these 4 generals. Then 23, and in the latter times of their kingdom, the Greek kingdom, when the transgressions are come to a full, a king of fierce countenance, understanding dark sentences shall stand up. That's Antiochus, Epiphanes, the last king with Greece. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. He shall destroy wonderfully. He shall prosper, practice, and he shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. See that? Not 70 AD, right here. At the end of the Greek kingdom, Antiochus, the Antichrist. He destroyed the holy people. The Lord of hosts was through with him. His indignation that came to a fool. He destroyed them right here. Then it says, and through his policies also, he caused craft to prosper in his hand, and he shall magnify himself in his heart, and by peace he shall destroy many, and he shall also stand up against the prince of princes. That's the Lord of hosts. Yahweh ain't no prince. So what prince is this? Lord of hosts, Michael, the great prince, right? But he shall be broken without hands. So the Lord of hosts killed him, destroyed him. You have to go to First Maccabees, First and Second Maccabees to see all this. So Antiochus, the one was killing this, he ran his lights out, started destroying the temple, put a hog on the altar, stopped the oblations, and the Israelites fled in Africa. That's when the Israelites left. Then these people came in. The book of Obadiah tells you that. Let's look at it right quick. And for me to keep going, I gotta show you this in order to keep moving forward. So go to Obadiah, and it tells you in verse 10, it's only 1 chapter. For thy violence against thy brother Jacob, shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off from thy forever. This Esau. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that strangers carried away captive his forces, this the indignation coming to a fool right here. Foreigners entered into his gate and cast lots upon Jerusalem. So what you doing when you casting lots? You divide the land up. Just like Jacob, just like they did with Joshua. When the Israelites came there, the Canaanites was there. They ran the Canaanites out and they divided the land up. So Esau, during the time when Israel nation came to an end, when Antiochus was there, they divided the land up. That's them in the land. From the time Antiochus to 70 AD, there was Edomites in the land. That's how he's able to do what he's doing right here on this video. He's acting, he tying it like them the same people. No, the Israelites left in 143 BC. That's why you had to come get them in 1619 from the West Coast. That's where they fled to. And that's why so many of them. They still was producing, still multiplying, but they was on the West Coast. So anyway, he says, he got destroyed. So when you go to First Maccabees, let me read a little bit of it for the people that ain't never heard this. So go to First Maccabees, and it's right there in your face. So it says, let me read it. Okay. Okay. Okay, I got it right here. So it says, and when his rule, this Antiochus, and when his rule appeared to Antiochus to be established, he conceived the idea of becoming king of the land of Egypt, so that he might reign over two kingdoms, right? So let's look at this right here, right quick, while we're here. So, like I showed you the other day, and Queen Elizabeth said that her family lineage go all the way back to the kings of Egypt and King David's lineage. She tied to the last, to Ptolemaic dynasty, the last dynasty in Egypt, and King David's dynasty. So this is why she's saying that. Because Antiochus is out of Ptolemaic lineage. It's the last ruling dynasty that was in Egypt. And when his rule appeared to Antiochus to be established, he conceived an idea of becoming king of Egypt. See that? That's why she's saying that, so that he might reign over two kingdoms, Israel and Egypt, right? So he entered Egypt with a strong force, with chariots and elephants, cavalry, and a great fleet. And he made war with Ptolemy. That's one of the four generals, right? King of Egypt. And Ptolemy fled before him, and many fell wounded, and they captured the walled cities of the land of Egypt, and he plundered the land of Egypt. After subduing Egypt in the 143rd year, right here, Antiochus turned back, came up against Israel, the real Israelites, entered into Jerusalem with a strong force, and in his arrogance, he went into the sanctuary, took the gold altar, the lampstand for light, and all the furniture, the table of presentation bread, the cups, the bowls, the gold censers, the curtains, the crowns, and the gold ornamentations on the front of the temple, and he stripped it all off. And he took the silver and the gold and choice dishes, and he took the secret treasures which he found, and he took them all and went back to his own country. He massacred people, spoke with great arrogance, and there was a great mourning everywhere throughout the land of Israel. So this ain't in the King James. JC ain't know this. So anyway, and there was a great mourning everywhere throughout Israel. Rulers and elders groaned. Girls and young men fainted away. The beauty of the women was altered. Every bridegroom began to lament, and she that sat in the bridal chamber grieved, and the very earth was shaken over the inhabitants, and the whole house of Jacob was covered with shame. See that? Now let's look at what he did. Okay, so it says, then the king wrote, this is what Daniel told us right here. Then the king wrote to his whole kingdom that this the king of fierce countenance, right here, the Antichrist. Then the king wrote to the whole kingdom that they should become one people. See that? This is how we got This is what brought about Psalms 83. The king wrote to his whole kingdom that they should become one people. Do away with the nation of Israel. And everyone should give up his particular practices, and all the heathens ascended to the command of the king. And many from Israel agreed to this kind of worship and offered sacrifices to idols and broke the Sabbath. See that? And the king sent word by messengers to Jerusalem, to the towns of Judah, the real Israelites, to follow practices, just like Daniel just said. Practice and prosper. Practices foreign to the country, and put a stop to whole burnt offerings and sacrifices and drink offerings. So notice, put a stop to sacrifices and drink offerings at the sanctuary. Ain't that what JC did? They say JC did. This is where it started right here. And to break the Sabbath and profane the feast and to pollute the sanctuary and sanctify it, to build altars, sacred precincts, idol temples, and sacrifice hogs, unclean cattle, and lead their sons uncircumcised to defile themselves with every unclean, profane practice, so they might forget the law. Here you go, right here. This is Psalms 83. They might forget the law, change all their religious ordinances, and anyone who did not obey the command of the king was killed. He wrote to his whole kingdom to this effect, and he appointed inspectors over all the people, and he ordered the towns of Judah, every one of them, to offer sacrifices, and many other people, and everyone who was ready to forsake the law, See that? And joined with them and did wrong in the land, and forced Israel to hide in every hiding place, right? And on the 15th day of Chesim in the 100, here you go, in the 145th year, he erected a dreadful desecration, just abomination of desolation. He erected a dreadful desecration upon the altar. And in the towns of Judah round about, they built altars. And at the doors of their houses and in the squares, they burned incense. And wherever they found the book of the law, here you go. So all of a sudden now, like I told you in the New Testament, now the book, the law is a schoolmaster. These nut buckets, right? The law, there wasn't no schoolmaster when it was given to Moses. Now all of a sudden, when they come on the scene, now the law is schoolmaster, pointing toward JC. But anyway, it says, let me see, anyone found the book of the law, they tore them up and burned them, and anyone was found to possess a book of the agreement or respected the law, the king decreed condemn him to death. The Israelites who appeared from month to month in the towns, they treated them with force. On the 120th of the month of, they offered sacrifices upon the altar, which was set up on the altar of burnt offerings. The women had circumcised their children. They put to death under the decree, hanging the babies around their necks, destroying their families, and the men who had circumcised them. Yet in Israel stood firm to resolve the hearts not to eat what was unclean. They preferred death than being polluted with food or profaning the sacred agreement, and so they died. And Israel suffered intensely. So this is what Daniel was told us, that many gonna be turned white, because some of them didn't fall for it. They died before they went against the law. So by the time, when you understand when the Israelites left, by the time you get to the Sadducees and Pharisees and all these nut buckets, that's law gone. That's why it's so much drama there. Ain't no Israelites there. They're on the west coast of Africa. So there's Edomites there. So like I said before, so they come and told us this ain't just start. They've been saying, they're telling you we was in Egypt, we was in Babylon, and then when you get when Titus and Vespasian and Julius Caesar and them, you saying them the Israelites. No, them Edomites. And he's doing the same thing now. But it ain't just start. It go all the way back to we left in 143 BC when we were on the West Coast. Them Edomites in the land doing this New Testament. Israel ain't there. Daniel already done prophesied and told them the nation of Israel finna come to an end. The prince that shall come, Antiochus, is going to destroy the city and the sanctuary. We just read it. It was in 143 BC. That's why they're able to do what they're doing today. Like I said, they got scrolls over there. They got a Knesset over there in the land of Israel saying this they scrolls. Yeah, because you the last people was there. The Israelites been gone way back in 143 BC. We can't find a piece of a scroll. That's how long we've been gone. Okay. Okay.
The Bible is filled with types and patterns and templates, which could be fulfilled again and again. So it's possible as well that Psalm 83 presents a template regarding the enemies of Israel that could be fulfilled in the last days. So we have to be careful both ways. I don't believe we can simply take this dogmatically as a prophecy of the end times. That's not it's a primary meaning. At the same time, I don't believe we can dogmatically dismiss that it may have a level of fulfillment for after that time, even to now. So we're going to accurately divide prophecy, and this is what we're doing on Friday nights. We got to use wisdom. So on its face value, primary value seems to be saying it's a song, it's a psalm, calling to God for protection, listing the enemies of God and their attacks and their plans, which may not be referring to one incident. It might be in general. There are these ones here, Philistines here, this one here, this one here. It may not be one thing. It may be several things. But is it possible that it has also a prophetic realm beyond the ancient times?
This AI tool will take.
Like I said, there you go again. That dualism, that's a god. Dualism, Janus, is a god with the head in the front and the head in the back. That's where dualism come from. And so when you got Negroes, they go to seminary and all that, and then they start reading the scriptures and they try to apply it, put dualism on it. No, we just read it. Well, he said the prince that shall come shall destroy the city. You can't put no two parts on that. It's only gonna happen one time. Antiochus came and made an agreement with the Israelites for 7 years. Destroyed the sanctuary, killing everybody that know the law, all that. Ain't no two events. You can't put no dualism on it. Come on.
Your idea.
That we'd have to ask, what are the players today? Who would represent these people in the modern world? I want you to see
brainwashed it right here. Check it out.
These are enemies of Israel at the time of Psalm 83. Starting from the top left. Top left, that's Phoenicia. That is where Tyre is. To the right is this.
It's the real Israelites.
Syrian kingdom, Aram Damascus, and beyond that is the Assyrian Empire. Going down, that is Ammon. That is Lot's child. Going down from there is Moab, the other child of Lot. Going down further is Edom, Esau's children. Now swooping up left, and that red, that's the Philistines. That's Philistia on the coast, the sea people. Where's Amalek? He would have been in the desert around where Edom is and maybe where the Egypt is as well, Sinai. Remember, Amalek is a descendant of Esau, so he could have been with them, but he's in the Arabian desert. Now, what about the Ishmaelites? Look, see the bottom, it says Nabutu tribes, and you also have some tribes on the left, Arabu tribe. Most likely, that's where the Ishmaelites are, particularly on the right. Okay, so now, what about today?
See that? Now,
we can look at it a few ways. Number one,
now Israel ain't in the land. Like I said before, now he even flipped from Israel during David's time to the day when they made the Israelites. Come on.
Graphically, what are the names of the nations or peoples who are there today?
Watch this.
Number two, we can look at it genetically, bloodline, but that's very hard to do. But we can say that genetic studies have shown that the bloodlines of the ancient enemies of Israel are in the Middle East right now. But so we have to mostly go by geography. So who is there today? I want you to see a map. Now look at a map today. Tyre, I'm going to tell you where they are. Tyre on the top is now Lebanon. Aram, Damascus, over there to the right, that is Syria. The Assyrian Empire is now in Iraq, some of Syria and some of Iraq. The kingdoms of Ammon, Moab, and the right side of Edom is now the nation called Jordan. The Israelites, Nabutu tribes down there, is now linked to mostly Saudi Arabia. Now also the Arab peoples, but Saudi Arabia. The Hagrites, if linked to Hagar, would be linked to Egypt. The Amalekites would be in the Israeli desert, there, the Negev, and which are now Arabs. And Philistia is basically the Gaza Strip. Now, could it be that this template has been fulfilled in the last days? Mm-hmm. Listen, it's a joke. In the, I haven't heard this much. You won't hear it much, but in the Psalms, it says, "Let us cut off the name of Israel." Well, the Jewish people are the nation of Israel, but they have not been together in one nation of Israel in one place for 2,000 years until 1948. May 15th, 1948. That's it.
So let's look at that right quick for people that don't know about this information. So go to Malachi. Go to Malachi. It's all right here in the scripture. You just JC you got blinders on when you're dealing with JC. So it says right here, this is Lord of hosts right here, the Redeemer, our Redeemer, talking in Malachi chapter 1, verse 1, says, "The burden of the word of the Lord to Israel by Malachi. I have loved you, said the Lord. Yet ye say, wherein hast thou loved us?" Here you go. "Was not Esau Jacob's brother, said the Lord? Yet I loved Jacob, and I hated Esau. And check it out. I laid his mountains and his heritage to waste by the dragons of the wilderness," right? So where he at when he did this? 4. "Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return." See that? We will return. "Build the desolate places." But where the desolate places at? In Israel. The nation of Israel. Abomination that make it desert. "Whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, we will return and build the desolate places. Thus said the Lord of hosts, our Redeemer, the God is over Israel. Thus said the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but we will throw down. I will throw down, and they shall be called." Here we go right here. He tell you where they at. "The border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord have indignation forever. And their eyes shall see, and ye shall say, the Lord will be magnified from the borders of Israel." That's where they at. So when Titus and Vespasian kicked them out, they already told the Lord they coming back. They came back in 1948. And building up the desolate places. But the Lord said he's going to tear that down. Okay, so let's look at it. So all these prophecies being fulfilled all over the place, but you zeroed in on the wrong stuff.
David Ben-Gurion, the leader of Israel, on the top, that's the picture of Theodor Herzl, the visionary of Israel. They weren't called.
So you can't return somewhere where you ain't never been. Come on. When was they there? During the time when so-called JC was there, which is ain't nothing but Caesarea. Cleopatra's son and Julius Caesar's son. Okay.
Israel until that day. On May 14th, 1948, Friday, when he announced to the world Israel is being resurrected.
That's prophecy.
In accordance with Bible prophecy.
Jeff Bezos loves this. As a matter of fact, billionaires all over the world love this one income stream. So people like Jeff Bezos.
And then the next day, it went into effect. And the next day, so they're called Israel, Now, the world didn't know the name of the nation until just that day, that Friday. He announced the name would be Israel. Now, regardless of the name, the enemies of it would have come against it. But it's striking that the first day it was called Israel's back in the world, May 15th, 1948, Saturday, was the first day in 2,000 years. And what happened? Well, what Psalm 83 said happened. They said, come, let us wipe them out as a nation. So the name of Israel will no longer be remembered. An array of nations came against Israel to wipe them out on that day. At the moment of its birth, the name of Israel was back, and now we're going to wipe out that name. It will no longer be remembered. Now look at the map now of that war. This is the War of Independence. Remember the map you saw before. Look where all these things.
Okay, so the name of this video is The Mystery of Psalms 83 and the End Times. You can go back and connect the dots, but I'm just laying it out right now. Put it out there for people that's got ears to hear and eyes to see. Okay, so the video is The Mystery of Psalms 83, End Times, right? Okay.
These are coming from the same nations, the same peoples. Again, there's the ancient map there. And look again now, the War of Independence. That is the same. On the top is Lebanon. That attacked Israel. Tyre. To the right is Syria, linked to Assyria. They attacked Israel too. Iraq attacked Israel and Syria. You see Ammon, Moab, and Edom. That's Jordan. They also attacked Israel. You've got Egypt on the bottom left, which can include parts of the Amalekites. And you have fighting through the coast, the Philistia. That's where much of the fighting happened through Egypt. Two major. Now let me show you one other map of the same thing, War of Independence. Now this one you'll actually see, because there's two that seem to be missing. Well, on one hand, on the first map, you don't see Iraq, Assyria, and you don't see Saudi Arabia, but this one shows they were also attacking Israel, Iraq and Saudi Arabia, or what you saw as the tribe.
So let's look at that right quick. It says that in Daniel, I was just in Daniel, right? In chapter 8, it said, let's look at it. Daniel chapter 8, it says, in verse 19, it says, and he said, this is Gabriel telling Daniel what the Lord, the host told him. And he said, behold, I will make thee know what shall be in the last end of indignation. For the time appointed, the end shall be. Right? So we see it came to pass right here. Like I said, they didn't put in these super slick people like Sir Francis Bacon and all that, and they didn't flip the words around, but the Most High said that he was going to raise up, just like he did during the time in previous times. He was going to raise men up and break it down when it's time. So I was in Obadiah, and it says right here, it's all mean the same thing. They just twisted it off, but it means the same thing. Obadiah, like I said before, you can see that it ain't now. It ain't talking about now. When Israel was ran out, it wasn't. You can't tie that to now. Psalms 83, it already happened. That's why we blind. But anyway, it says in verse 10, I read, for thy violence against thy brother, Jacob shame shall cover thee, and thou shalt be cut off forever. Now here you go. In the day that thou stoodest on the other side, in the day that strangers carried away captive his forces, foreigners entered into the gates of Jerusalem, cast lots upon Jerusalem, even thou was one of them. It's Esau, so-called Israeli today, but it's Esau. 12, but thou should not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger, neither should thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. What is that day of destruction? What Gabriel just told Daniel. That the end, time appointed, the end shall be. This is it right here. The day of the destruction. 12, but thou should not have looked on the day of thy brother in the day that he became a stranger, when he was kicked out of the land of Israel. Neither should thou have rejoiced over the children of Judah in the day of their destruction. Neither should thou have spoken proudly in the day of their distress, the day that Daniel prophesied about. Thus thou should not have entered into the gates of my people in the day of their calamity. There you go. All this means the same thing. Day of their destruction, day of their calamity, time, appointed time, time of the end, same event. They tricked it off. Okay. So anyway, let me get this right quick. It says, okay, yeah. So yeah, and this how we being brainwashed today.
Israelites and the Iraq, which is Assyria.
Tying the people
so
together.
All these
Two different groups of people.
In Psalm 83, they were all. In fact, as far as I know, that's the only time up to that time they had never been in one attack. That was it. The very birth of Israel. Now let's go to one other war. Then that fulfilled Psalm 83. Let's go to one other war. This is the war of 1967, Jerusalem, the Six-Day War. In this war, the Arab armies decided they're going to wipe out Israel. Russia, Soviet Union actually instigated the whole thing. But literally, they said, we're going to drive Israel to the sea. We're going to destroy it, like Pharaoh said. They mobilized for war. They threatened to annihilate Israel. They mass along the borders. The troops all around Israel are massing around. They tell the UN to remove its peacekeeping troops, the Arabs. They do it. The UN is very happy to oblige, apparently. They are preparing to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. Israel realized they think they're going to be destroyed. They actually are building. So
let's look at this right quick. Because like I said, it's elementary once you get to a certain point. So we see the Creator, like I showed you, that Lord of Hosts and Yahweh is two different beings. You got Yahweh, the Creator, and he tells us you got a Redeemer. Redeemer, deliverer, redeemer, these all synonyms mean the same thing. So way back, we already had a Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. Let me read that. Okay, Isaiah 44 says, Isaiah 44, verse 6. 44 and 6. Thus said the Lord, the King of Israel, and conjunction, his Redeemer, the Lord of Hosts. Don't get no plainer than that. So way back here, you already had a Redeemer. This who went to Egypt. This who went to Babylon. This who came, like I said before, and got Sarah from Amalek. Came and raised Joseph up, second in command, and raised Mordecai up, second in command. We already had a Redeemer. So this is my point. So he told us in the curses, the same one, he who scattered you is going regather you. Where he at in this what we're looking at today? We don't see him nowhere. He talking about the UN and all this. Where he at? What the Creator at? What the Lord of Hosts at? That came in with the 10 plagues in Egypt and all that. Where he at? We don't see him nowhere in none of these stories. Just like Elijah said, where he at? He gone on a long trip somewhere? And everything that's unfolding is ass backwards. Because the lion and the lamb and all that supposed to lay down together when they get back. It's everything but that. And like I said, we don't see the Redeemer nowhere. Okay? Anybody got any comments? Explain that, bro. What you mean? Can you explain that? Okay. So, like I said before, when you see that everything he's saying, I mean, you don't see you don't see the hand of the Lord in that nowhere. You don't see it. He ain't in it. But in the Old Testament, we see the hand of the Lord all over the place. Like I said, proper English. Redeemer, deliverer, savior, all the same. Okay? We go one more place before I close out. Okay? I'm in Isaiah 43. Isaiah 43. All I can do is read it. Those who have ears to hear, gonna hear, and eyes to see, gonna see it. Okay? Here we go. I'm in Isaiah 43. Start at verse 10. Ye are my witnesses, says the Lord, and my servant, that I have chosen, that ye may know and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me, there was no God formed. So, did somebody form Yahweh? Did anybody form Yahweh? No. So, who is this talking? Enoch tells us the Most High formed 7 angels in the very beginning. Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, Uriel, Phinel, Serachiel. So he's telling you right here, the Redeemer of Israel. In verse 10, ye are my witnesses, says the Lord, and my servant whom I have chosen, and believe me and understand that I am he. Before me there was no God formed, neither shall there be after me. Even I am the Lord, and besides me there's no Savior. You go to Savior way back here. Okay? I have declared, and I have saved, and I have showed, and there was no strange God among you. Lowercase, no strange God among you. Therefore, ye are my witnesses, says the Lord, that I am God. Yea, before the day was, I am he. There is none that can deliver out of my hands. I will work, and who shall let? Like I said before, you're not going to be able to understand this if you're dealing with JC. Then verse 14, thus said the Lord, your Redeemer. See that? The Holy One of Israel. Well, what's the Holy One? The Most High formed 7 angels, 7 holy ones. So Yahweh ain't no holy angel, ain't no holy one. It's a holy one that's over Israel. Okay. Okay. Anybody else got anything before we vacate the premises?
Brother Leonard, the brother had another couple of comments in the chat.
Where is it? I don't see it. It's in the
yes, sir. He said, Yah is the Redeemer. No, don't close out yet. Let's get some clarity. Can I join the voice? Yah is the Holy One.
No, you didn't put him on there, man, because you lost in the sauce, man. What can you give me you have to write it because you don't have the link.
Right. You need his information. You need his email
Yeah,
or phone number so he can have the link to come on to join you.
Right. You gotta get a phone number so we'll be able to send you the link. So like I said before, let me go and read it again. I'm gonna read it one more time. So it says right here, I'm in the book of Enoch. So when you're not gonna get the full understanding as long as you're dealing with 66 books in the King James. You're not gonna get no understanding on what's going on. You understand what these people done. So right here, chapter 20. I'm gonna go 2 places. These are the names of the holy ones. who watched. See that? Uriel, Raphael, Raguel, Michael L, Seraquel, Gabriel, Remiel. Yah ain't on here. Yahweh ain't on here. He ain't no holy one. He's a holy one over Israel. He keeps saying it over and over again. Now I go one more place. I'm in the book of Daniel. Book of Daniel. Chapter 2, I think it is. Maybe, let me get it. Yeah, here you go. Okay. Yeah, here you go. Daniel chapter 4. This is the tree. The vision of Nebuchadnezzar saw the tree, right? And I start at verse 12. The leaves thereof were fat, and the fruit thereof were much. In it was the meat of all. The beasts of the field and had shadow under it, and the fowls of heaven dwelt in the bowls thereof. All the flesh was fed of it. So this Nebuchadnezzar was the tree, his dominion. Then 14 or 13, Daniel talking. I saw in the vision of my head upon my bed, and behold, a watcher. That's the created angel. That's to watch, right? And a holy one came down from heaven. Yahweh ain't no holy one. Specifically in the book tells you that whoever over Israel is a holy one. Yah ain't a holy one. Okay? Anybody else got anything before we go? Everybody good?
Yes, sir. I'm good.
Yeah. So like I said, 337-802-0889. Hotline. Okay? So with that being said, give me a minute. Okay, I'll just say shalom. My computer acting up. Shalom. I'll see everybody tomorrow at 7.
Shalom. Thanks for the class. I
Yeah,
enjoyed it.
shalom.
Shalom, everyone.
Okay.
Shalom.